Okay, just got the signal that we're ready. And it's 7:07. We're starting almost on time this time compared to the last few times. We've had some technical difficulties that had us starting pretty late. I'd like to call to order the December 10th, 2020 meeting of the Waukegan Planning and Zoning Commission. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Bill,
Here.
Griffin, Grimes,
Here.
Howe,
Here.
Hicks,
Here.
Rivera,
Present.
Santiago,
Here.
Rodriguez.
Present. Okay, I thought I saw Commissioner Griffin's name on the screen. Unless I'm mistaken, I thought I had seen it earlier.
She was
any-
with us, but she appears to have left.
Disconnected. Okay, we do have a quorum, and Commissioner Haug, I understand that you are only going to be participating for a short time because you are a player in a couple of the items that are coming up, so you are going to recuse yourself. Will you be joining us again after that, or are you just going to be exiting the meeting at that time?
I'm just going to be exiting the meeting at that time.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank everybody for being here. We've had some really great attendance, and that's really good to see that we have so many people that are taking their role in this commission very seriously. And we're going to try to get through this without too many blunders. This is the new normal, and I think we're starting to get used to it. And we, as Ms. Noelle Kisher-Lepper mentioned, we are going to follow the new format of presenting all of the items and not voting on them until after everything has been presented. And for anybody who is watching this, there is a number that you will be given. In fact, I'll give it to you right now. This is for people to call in, but you'll be told when you can call in. The call-in time is going to be after all of the presentations have been made. And then we will take the calls for anybody that wants to address the commission on any matter, whether it's on the agenda or not. You can call in at that time and address the commission. That phone number is 847-856-6412. I'm going to repeat it. It's 847-856-6412. But you will not be able to call in until we announce the audience time. And we also have a number of letters that have come in that we'll also be reading after or during the presentations. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of November 12th, 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept those minutes.
Motion by
I'll
Commissioner.
second it.
I move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Hill to approve the minutes, second by Commissioner Anderson. Are there any comments or corrections to the minutes? If not, can we have a roll call vote, Please?
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner,
Commissioner.
you got
Bill,
a promotion.
Yes.
I like that.
Grimes,
Yes.
Haug,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Santiago,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Item 3, old business. Is there any old business that we need to discuss? Okay. Once again, before we get into the new business, the phone line will be open at the announced time, and the phone number is 847-856-6412. Moving on to item 4, new business. First item 4.1, zoning calendar number 2624. This is a request by the petitioner, City of Waukegan, for adoption of the Northern Lakeshore Trail Connectivity Plan. Are we ready?
We are ready, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. So this plan is a plan that was completed in partnership between the city of Waukegan, the city of North Chicago, the village of Beach Park, the village of the city of Zion, and the village of Winthrop Harbor through a grant from the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, and also in partnership with Illinois Department of Natural Resources Coastal Management Program. The grant was applied for in 2017. And in early 2019, a consultant was selected and contracted to do that work. So for about 18 months, that project was going on. There were a number of public meetings and involvement from all of the communities. The consultants reviewed other plans that had already been approved, or like our comprehensive plan, were underway at the same time. And this is a plan that talks about ways that pedestrian and bicycle trails can be connected between the 5 communities into Illinois Beach State Park and to the larger regional trail system. So it makes proposals for what types of access routes make sense in different locations. So you'll see in the maps that the recommendations include paved trails, they include bike lanes that are on street, they include some unpaved trails, just depending on the exact location and what's most suitable for that location. I was personally involved in the project along with Jane Ferry from our marketing and public relations staff, and other members of our staff have participated behind the scenes in reading and commenting on the plan, and opining and ensuring that it was compatible with our recently adopted comprehensive plan. What you've received on paper is just a few of the pages that show Waukegan specific recommendations. It's a much larger plan than that. If you haven't taken time to read it in its entirety, I recommend that you do. It was a real learning experience for me participating in it, learning about all the different ways that bicycle and pedestrian access has been made available in other places to adapt to the environment appropriately. It's not as simple as a bike path or a bike lane. There are lots of other ways to do it. And to incorporate things so that they are workable and amenities that are safe for the users. So I'm pretty excited about this plan, and I hope that tonight you will recommend adoption of this plan as a supplement to our comprehensive plan. It complements it, and it really is a terrific way of looking forward and making our public environments accessible for recreation and other uses to all forms of transportation. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Thank you. Any of the commissioners have any questions?
Nicole, on page 42, there's a cost breakdown. You said it was a grant, it's like 38.6 million for the project. And I'm just wondering, is that grant money or is that something we have to come up with?
Yeah.
And then secondly, to that motion, the ongoing upkeep for that, the repairs of the paths and everything like that, and the picking up the trash and the policing of it. How does that encompass it, just on a money value?
Sure. So the grant was a planning only grant. It was not a construction grant. So that grant is complete and has been closed out. It was only to create this plan. So the various communities approving the plan is really the final step in that activity. It'll be a mix of funding sources for different things. So of course, anywhere that we have a project that's grant eligible, we'll certainly pursue those funds to the extent that we're able to, particularly when there are no match grants, so that we don't have to come up with a share of that. Depending on where it is, whose property it is, there could be different parties responsible for maintenance. So for example, something that is an on-street bike lane on a city of Waukegan road would become the responsibility of our public works to maintain it. It's part of the road technically. Where an extension of a bike path on Park District or Forest Preserve land would become their responsibility to maintain. We might work in partnership with them to seek funding sources. We might apply for a grant where they use their funds to match that type of thing. But it'll be a different funding source and maintenance responsibility for each component.
Okay. Would the city of Waukegan have to increase the width of Sheridan Road? Because I noticed one of the paths goes down Sheridan Road.
Yeah. So north of Grand Avenue, there wouldn't be a need to do that. It's sufficiently wide to incorporate a bike lane. And the expectation is that we will be incorporating a bike lane north of Grand Avenue on Sheridan Road, at least up to Greenwood. North of Greenwood, Sheridan Road becomes state highway. So it'll be incumbent on us to work with them to make sure that there are facilities that work. So part of that Sheridan Road stretch, all the way from Waukegan to the state line, has sidewalks, other parts don't. And Beach Park is actively working on a project to do a stretch of Sheridan Road to implement pieces of this plan on Sheridan Road. So a lot of it will be patchwork and making connections as we can. But some places we may have to widen a road if we have the right of way, or we may have to seek a donation of some land to create right of way or an easement, that kind of thing. So it depends really on each specific component. Unless you know somebody that has $38 million that they'd like to give us without any match, in which case we'd be glad to start implementing all of it right away.
You would be second. I'd be first.
Okay, that's fair.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, zoning calendar number 2625 and 2626. These are requests that are being made pertaining to the same project. And I believe the same individuals are presenting for both. So what we're going to do, I'm going to allow you to make your presentation for both items. But when we vote on them after at the appropriate time, we're going to vote on them as individual items. So who will be presenting? I see Bob Messini and Greg
Excuse
White.
me, Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself now.
Yes, please. Thank you. Okay, I see 3 individuals that are going to be speaking on this.
Actually, I think there are a total of 4, aren't there, Greg?
Okay,
Yes,
who else? Because I'd like to swear everybody in all at once if we can. Anybody that might be speaking with regard to this request?
Ms. Diaz, Monte Diaz also.
Okay, so there are 5 of you altogether. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
Good evening to the commissioners of the Planning and Zone Department. Thank you for this opportunity to ask your approval to relocate our existing charter school. My name is Greg White, and I'm the CEO of Learn Charter School Network. We have been around for 20 years. We operate 10 schools across the state. We serve over 4,000 students. About 5 years ago, we were fortunate to come to Waukegan. We opened a school there, and we currently serve 433 students in Waukegan. We call ourselves a college prep elementary school because we're K through 8th grade, and we think that the foundation and ambition to earn a college degree is established early in life. We have a very successful academic model, and we also meet the social, emotional, and psychological needs of students. Let me just make sure I define what a charter school is. Please understand that we are a public school, open to any student who lives in Waukegan, and it's free. We are a not-for-profit organization that's here for the public good. If more students want to come to our school than we have seats, we hold a lottery. It's all random how students are allowed to come to our school. We go where we are needed. I think in a second you hear more about our academic outcomes and our parent satisfaction. Please allow me to introduce the wonderful, impressive principal, Monte Diaz, who leads our Waukegan school.
My name is Maite Diaz, and like Mr. White said, I'm principal of Learn 9 Waukegan. I have been with Learn for 5.5 years. I started my career right here in Waukegan as a first grade teacher at Glenwood School, where I taught bilingual students for over 5 years. I also lived in the community for 23 years. As Greg mentioned, Learn 9 is a public free charter school, and we have the privilege of servicing not only general education students, but also bilingual and diverse learners, children's or IEP. I am extremely proud of the performance of our scholars, who have shown tremendous growth and achievement since we opened. The graph on the slide shows our students' performance on the Illinois Assessment of Readiness test taken by all Illinois elementary school students.
And we're very proud of the fact that we have a proven track record of helping students graduate. Well, we're K through 8th, but guess what? They leave us, go to high school, they graduate from high school, they matriculate to college, and they actually graduate from college. We track our alum all the way through college. And this graph shows, on average, 92% of our alum have graduated from high school. The middle graph says 61% matriculate to college, and 31% actually graduate from a 4-year college. And we compare that to the national average. Only 23% of all Americans earn a college degree. And we think that's quite impressive. Again, we call ourselves a college prep elementary school, because we think that's when that's where the game is won and lost. Please know that we are not here to ask to open a new school. We just want to relocate our existing highly successful school. We love serving the families of Waukegan. We are deeply committed to this community. We want to provide families with a high quality education and help them to keep living and working in Waukegan. We think that Learn 9 Waukegan is a vital part of making Waukegan a thriving community. I'd like to now introduce to you our attorney, Bob Massini, to tell you more about the proposed site.
Thank you, Greg. Am I coming through okay?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good evening, commissioners, Chairman Rodriguez. Nice to see you all. I wish it was personally like we usually do this. I'm going to run down very quickly, since you've had an opportunity to meet a couple of the principals with the school. I'm going to discuss the site and what the plans are for the site. And then after I am concluded with my remarks, we'll have Mr. White will be back again for some additional comments and information about the operation and how it will take place at this site. And we also have a traffic consultant that will be talking about the plans for both internal and access to the site. As all of you know, this particular site has been developed as a commercial strip mall, I guess you might call it, for a number of years. It's located there on the south side of Grand Avenue between Macquarie and on the west, Leith on the east, the city alley on the south. You can see, Lindsay, if you could bring up the next slide. You can see there on this Alta survey, the unusual configuration of this particular piece. And actually that access road coming in from Macquarie is in fact owned by this particular property owner in fee. So the way this was all set up was that back in 2004, all of the property in this that you see on the survey, other than the use right at the corner of Macquarie and Grand and the restaurant immediately to the west to our property, was split out from the original subdivision as a new subdivision. So I wanted to point out to the board that there are covenants that affect this property. And in fact, Each of the ownerships, the property that Learn is looking at, the O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and the property to the east, all are required, not only under the city ordinances, but in the covenants that affect it, to provide adequate parking on each of their properties. There is no, and I know sometimes the city will require neighboring property owners to possibly get an agreement and share, but we have a specific covenant that says you're not to do that. So the good news is we have sufficient space on this site so that parking, in fact, in excess of what is necessary, will be provided for the particular use. And what do we have? We have a 3.3 acre property that has a 44,000 square foot building presently on it. If any of the commissioners have gone out there, and I suspect some of you may have because it's nearby, the parking lot and access road and the building are all, shall we say, they're in need of some renovation and rehabilitation. The good news is that pursuant to the plans that Learn has for this, that entire building to the tune of several $1 million is going to be renovated, rehabbed, brought up to current standards. Most of the work on the inside, or I should say all of the work on the inside, will be taking what is presently a retail space and turning it into a academic space for the school. The parking lots and access roads are not in the best of shape, as I've indicated. They are all going to be redone. As you've seen from the plans, part of that parking lot area will in fact be turned into athletic fields for the students that attend the school. They will be landscaped on its perimeter. There will be new landscaping throughout the parking lot, both along Grand Avenue and in the areas between the parking areas that will be servicing the school and its staff, and then the delivery points. One of the things that were addressed from the original submittal were the concerns, as I said, about the traffic, both internally and access to the public streets adjoining the properties. Later in the testimony, you will hear how that's been revised to address those issues that were presented by staff. And now speaking to the legal basis for this, we get two requests tonight. First of all, there's a text amendment being requested where we will ask that educational institutions and a school of the nature of what we have will now become a conditional use in the B2 district. I noticed that in one of the items that was presented by one of the, I guess it would be in response to this petition, that the language of that text amendment was something that they were suggesting some changes might be made in it. I would tell the commission that we used and presented the same language that the city used, I guess a few years ago when you made schools, in this case, it was the Cristo Rey School in the old Kmart site on Belvedere. We used the same language as was used in that particular amendment. We have no investment in that amendment. As long as the ultimate language that is approved in the text amendment provides for the use that we're looking for, that's perfectly okay with us, and I wanted to make that clear. Secondly, we're asking for a conditional use that will allow that new conditional use in this district to be used by us. And as you know, a conditional use in any district is a use that's, while it is not prohibited, but it is a use of a nature that requires that the city, the Plan Commission, the City Council look at it carefully and make sure that the specific aspects of that use are tailored for both the property itself and the neighboring property around it. So your ordinance sets forth certain matters that need to be addressed when doing this. First of all, the use should not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity and not diminish or impair property values in the neighborhood. As we've set forth in the petition, and as the testimony will show, we've got a 44,000 square foot building that's badly in need of repair and renovation. The parking lot and areas around it are also in need of that, as I've already stated. That will be taken care of by Learn if this use is approved. New hardscape, softscape, landscaping will all be installed so that, in fact, rather than be injurious in any way, it's going to be improving both the property itself and be an improvement for the neighbors and the city around it. Secondly, the city's ordinance requires that with the conditional use that the commission take into account that the use is not to be detrimental or to endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. The use that we are looking to have added is a pre-K to grade 8 school. As Greg and Métis already have indicated, this is a use that looks to develop college-ready students in their early years. Certainly not something that is going to be, I would think, an issue for the surrounding neighborhood. 2/3 of the children that attend this school will be arriving by bus. The remainder, since none of them are old enough to be driving their own cars, will be delivered to the school by adult drivers. And as you know, when you're dealing with this type of use, most of that influx and the leaving from the property is done at 2 particular times a day, at the arrival and otherwise. And another good factor to keep in mind, as Greg pointed out, this is the relocation of a use. It's not the start of something new. So Learn has had an opportunity here in Waukegan with their student population for 5 years to see how that works. And they fully intend to implement those processes because the party to whom an importantly well-functioning internal traffic pattern is to the school itself. Thirdly, your ordinance requires that adequate measures for ingress and egress to minimize traffic congestion be used. And as I've indicated previously, we get 2 times per day when people arrive. Most of the rest of the time, this educational activities are going on inside of the school, and Learn will be following through with those recommendations made by staff, and that is how the school will be set up. Finally, the establishment of the conditional use will not impede normal or orderly development of the surrounding properties. In this situation, we have a site that is already fully developed and the area around it is fully developed. So what we have taking place here is that we are going to be reusing this property in a way that it will be beneficial to the neighborhood, in that it will make what was new again, and hopefully bringing in the students' parents who will be new customers for the retail and service businesses that are on Grand Avenue. And number 5, in your ordinance's requirements, that the CUP conform in all applicable regulations of the city. And that's exactly what's going to be happening here. As I've indicated, again, Learn will be rehabbing, renovating both the building and the parking lot around it. This is not going to be the development of undeveloped land. It's going to be the improving of an existing developed site. And now I will turn this back over to Greg White.
Thank you, Mr. Messini. I love this visual because this is what we're promising to deliver with your permission. We want to deliver a beautiful building and campus to meet the needs of all Waukegan families. This will be a first class, the nicest building we've ever developed. It will require significant investment that Learn is willing to make. It's about $10 million to acquire and renovate this existing single-story building. And what's great about this is we can now offer everything our families need. Not only classrooms, but art and music and gym and the cafeteria, nurse's office, just imagine what a first-class school looks like. We're also, of course, I love the notion of having 2 junior-sized soccer fields to accommodate the boys and girls and make available for community use. We'll make sure the site improvements will meet all restrictions such as setbacks and height restrictions. And will, as Bob mentioned, will also exceed the parking space requirements for the use. And finally, Learn is committed to hiring locally for this construction project. Just another view of the site from the street view of the proposed campus. Again, a clean, attractive, welcoming site. One more view. So we are not new to this. We've been 20 years operating schools. We own several of our other buildings. We have 20 years of experience being a good neighbor when we open schools. I've already been in Waukegan for 5 years. We are mindful of our traffic flow, so we minimize disruption to neighboring businesses and ensuring student safety as parents pick up and drop off kids. As Bob mentioned, also, we have engaged a traffic engineer to help design the flow at the proposed campus. And I'll turn it over to our consultant so he can talk you through it in much more detail. Michael?
Good evening. My name is Michael Werthman. I'm a principal with the firm of Koenig, Lindgren, O'Hara, Buna, Inc. for KLOA, Inc. I've been practicing now for 30 years, and I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Illinois. As Greg indicated, we were retained to perform the traffic study for the proposed school. As you've heard, it will be located within the existing shopping center that is bounded by Grand Avenue on the north, Macquarie Road on the west, and Leaf Avenue on the east. As you all well know, Grand Avenue is a 4-lane road, 2 lanes in each direction, 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, has separate left turn lanes at its intersection with Macquarie, which is under traffic signal control. Macquarie is a collector road. It has 1 lane in each direction, 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, separate left turn lanes at its signalized intersection with Grand Avenue. And Leaf Avenue is a local road, 1 lane in each direction. Access to the shopping center, as you can see from this photo or site plan, is provided via 3 access drives. There's 1 access drive each on Grand Avenue, Macquarie, and Leaf Avenue. All 3 access drives provide 1 inbound lane and 1 outbound lane, with the outbound lanes under stop sign control, which is nice. It's the Macquarie Road access drive does have access to the signalized intersection at Grand Avenue. So anyone who's making a left turn onto Grand Avenue can make that at a signalized intersection. With the multiple access drives on 3 different roads, the access system serving the shopping center in this school provides a very flexible access system, which really helps to distribute that traffic along the roadway system and minimize the impact of the traffic on the external roadway system as well as internally. That's a brief discussion on the existing conditions. Regarding the proposed school, it will have a maximum of about 600 students when it's fully enrolled, 40 to 55 staff and teachers at the school. It will have 6 to 7 buses serving the school. And the school will offer both before and after school activities. Similar to most schools, and as you've heard, the primary traffic is generated during that morning drop-off period and the afternoon pickup period. Outside of those periods, the school generates a very limited volume of traffic on weekdays, and is pretty much closed on weekends and is not generating any traffic. Um, The one thing I wanted to indicate is what's unique about this school is the volume of traffic that will be generated on an overall basis, as well as that generated during the peak periods, will be reduced for several factors. The first, and Bob mentioned this, is the school experiences a very high percentage of students that ride the bus to and from school. As such, it reduces the amount of drop-off and pickup activity. And second is the fact that there is after or before and after school activities, which minimizes that peak volume of traffic that is generated right before school and right after school. Next, I'd like to indicate that, as you all know, this is a approximately 44,000 square foot building. It's an existing building that is zoned for retail or commercial uses. There are a number of uses that could occupy this building that would generate more traffic than the proposed school, and would generate that traffic, into weekday evenings when the school is closed, and also on weekends. As such, the school is a similar, if not less, traffic intense development than other retail uses that could occupy the site. We did look at the overall operation of the school. We did existing counts out there, factored those counts up to account for the pandemic and that traffic volumes are a little lower at this time. We also increased them to account for the construction of the Grand Avenue and 41 interchange, and then added the traffic that the school would generate and looked at how the access drives would operate and the various intersections in the area. And what we found out is that the access drives and all of the intersections have sufficient reserve capacity to accommodate the additional traffic that will be generated by the school. These intersections will generally operate well. Similar to most schools, there may be some congestion, some additional delay in queuing during those peak 15 to 20 minutes before school and after school, but that will dissipate quickly like you see at most schools, and the system is sufficient to accommodate this additional traffic. One thing or one recommendation we have is that the Grand Access Drive, we're recommending to the outbound lane to prohibit it to right turn movements only, and to prohibit the through movements and left turn movements via signage. The purpose of this is there's not a whole lot of stacking available at that intersection, and we just don't want traffic to queue up back into the circulation system. We think it will help have the intersection and the overall internal circulation operate much more efficiently. Traffic can make a left out at the signalized intersection at Macquarie, or they can go to Life to make a left turn onto Grand Avenue. So overall, the external roadway system and the access drives have more than sufficient reserve capacity to accommodate this traffic. From an internal circulation, maybe if we go back one slide, Lindsay. Yeah, there you go. All of the buses will queue or stack along the east side and the north side of the two athletic fields. And all of the bus loading will occur along the east side of the athletic fields there. All of the students will exit via the north east corner of the school. You can see a red rectangle there. And then they will load and unload along that east side of the athletic fields. Based on staff's comments, all of the pickup and drop-off activity will occur within the parking lot. There'll be no pickup or drop-off along the frontage of the school or along the frontage of the athletic field. All parents will be required to park within the parking lot and walk their students to school. And then when they're picking them up, pick them up school, and then walk back to their vehicle and exit. So the parking lot has been designed to accommodate the additional parking. The school has a great reputation in actively managing their operation, as Greg said, over 20 years experience, actively managing the pickup and drop off and implementing the necessary policy and procedures to ensure a smooth and efficient operation. That is my presentation, and I will be here for any questions that anyone has.
I
Hey,
do,
Lenny-
please note,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm almost done.
ahead.
We have shared our plans with your staff, with the mayor and other elected officials. Here's our critical path. We know it's ambitious, but we're optimistic that with your support, we'll open by this fall 2021. If I could, I'll end with just a very few comments. Learn is thrilled to be part of the Waukegan community. We're grateful for the overwhelming parental support we received since the last opening school in 2015. We are ready to make a substantial and deep and lasting commitment to Waukegan in this new building, at no expense to the taxpayers. This site will become an asset to the Waukegan community, both in terms of how it actually educates kids, but also being a beautiful presence in this current shopping center. We look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
any of the commissioners have any questions of the petitioners?
Yeah, Greg, I'd like to ask you a question. I'm not quite familiar with the way charter schools work. However, are you going to be owning the property? Or are you renting the property?
We will own the property, sir.
Okay, so it will become tax exempt then?
We would plan, yes, sir. We would apply for a tax exempt status.
Okay, and when you say it's no cost, it just means that you get a larger share based on your population of students. Is that correct, from the coffers of the city?
Well, so I guess we're not asking the city to help finance the cost of this property.
No, you're doing that on your own. I understand that.
Yes, sir.
But the tax base that pays the schools right now, that would just be split out more by because you are increasing the number of classrooms, right, and students.
We are increasing the number of classrooms, correct?
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Commissioners?
One question for me, Chairman.
Yes, please.
So you mentioned reducing the wait list. You said over 200 students you have currently. Do you have some estimate of how much it will reduce it by? And how many classrooms are you adding roughly?
Sure. So we're currently 433 students. We plan to add 167 students, we hope, up to that amount. Probably not right away. We'll grow somewhat gradually. And so let me just do a quick math, if you don't mind. So 167, let me just make sure, so yes. 167. We had about 7 classrooms.
Okay. And then this is a replacement for the current location you're at. Is that
Yes,
correct
sir.
as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll relocate.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions of the petitioners?
I have one.
Yes, Commissioner Anderson.
So I drove by the property and kind of looked at it, and there were several things that I wanted to clarify. So there's a small kind of little area off of it's closer to the Leaf that's right now got grass and some trees. What are you doing with that? It looks like it might be a place for, employees or something right now, but it's kind of out of place. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, is that adjacent to the building?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that where the yellow block is right now? Or which way, this way or the other, that one, to the right or to the left?
It's where the yellow block is.
Okay, great.
What is that?
The current thinking would be, it would just become a play area for smaller kids.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. And then as I looked at the building, there are a lot of windows that are boarded up. Are you having windows in classrooms? Is the front going to be windows? I can't tell from what I'm seeing, but having worked in a park district, you know, I'm really into the outdoors and yeah, okay, I see now a little closer that you have windows there. How about on the sides and in the back?
Yes, ma'am. And skylights. So we've
Okay.
started interviewing. Yes, ma'am. I'm a huge fan of natural light.
Yeah, all right. And then it doesn't, okay, it's here. And that's the fencing around the areas for play. So, cool. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, I'm looking at the letter written by Mr. Sabrin. Gives a recommendation of the city staff, and there are some criteria that are listed for zoning determinations, and there are a couple of them that I wanted to bring up. One is item number 4, whether the owner has proven a hardship that significantly outweighs the benefits to the public of the existing regulations. Can you comment on that?
Mr. Massini, would you help me,
Yeah.
please?
Actually, am I coming through okay?
Yes.
Okay. Chairman, I will comment on that. When I saw that, in my own opinion, those are the 8, what we would call LaSalle requirements for what, in my view, is a rezoning of a property. Because, Mike, I think you make a good point. When we're looking at that number 4, it just doesn't apply. I mean, it's been developed, it's been operating. My understanding is it's still functioning as a use. We're not looking to change the zoning of this area. We're looking to bring in a use that we hope would be considered one that would be acceptable in this district. And I just don't see that particular one necessarily applies. That's why I took the time to go through the 5 requirements that the conditional use permit section of your ordinance requires. Now, I know Doug is on the line and maybe he has a different feeling about that, but that's my thought on that specific one.
I tend to agree with Mr. Massini on that. That's language ordinarily more reserved for variances or rezoning issues where you actually are needing to prove a hardship. Generally, conditional use permits are outside of that.
Okay, and item number 6, the length of time the property has remained vacant and the extent to which existing zoning restrictions have been the cause of the property's vacancy. As you all know, this is not a vacant property. And in fact, this project is going to displace a business that's been in Waukegan for a number of years. In fact, they've been in business in Waukegan 37 years, providing jobs in Waukegan and paying taxes. And now this business is going to be displaced by a business that's going to come in and not pay taxes?
Well, my response to that, Mr. Chairman, would be, I look at that and would say the same things I said about number 4. And I would also go on to say, this is a situation where, given the nature, and I believe I set forth some of this in the written application as filed, we get a situation here where, as I understand, this business is still functioning. But my client didn't go and knock on the door of this business and say, hey, we really like your site, we'd like to buy it. This was a situation where the current owner put it on the market to sell it. And he wasn't looking to sell the business as such, he was looking to sell the property. I suppose if someone had come along from in the marketplace and said, we'd like to not only buy your land, we'd like to buy your business, that might have been intriguing to him. But the fact of the matter is, that particular type of business, with the advent of streaming services, gamer services, has really put a crimp into the success of those businesses. And I don't need to remind everyone what we've been living in for the past 9.5 months, but entertainment venues and restaurants have been devastated. So as much as it might have been a situation where I would suspect the owner might have liked to continue to have his business operating, I think that at this point, it's in the market, it's available, and yes, you know, it fits. It's probably not perfect for Learn. I think they'd be the first one to say it, but it meets and checks enough of the boxes that it's something that they're interested in.
Mr. Chairman, may I make
Yes,
a
please.
comment?
Yes.
I did speak to the business owner there, and he was aware that his landlord was selling the property. He did in fact let people into his business to see the property. He definitely was aware and had actually been looking to downsize. My team is presently working with him to help identify a suitable location that meets his needs better at the present time. So we are trying to keep him in Waukegan. He's interested in staying in Waukegan, but this building was not the right place for him any longer at this point in time.
And if this is approved, how much time would he have there? Would this be something that, I know you have a kind of a tight deadline. You're talking about starting the school, starting the new campus by the beginning of the next school year. So does that mean that this business would have to vacate immediately, and so that you could begin your construction?
I think that the good question, I think we should secure a copy of the lease from the, copy of the lease determines how long. I think if we get approved, our first few steps are really to sort of get the architectural drawings done. I mean, that is probably the most urgent need. And if he's willing to allow us to access the building, that helps us a lot. Before we can start any construction, we have to finish our due diligence and then start the architectural drawings. We should talk to him about his timing if this moves forward. What's a reasonable time frame, and what does the lease dictate? If the building is sold.
And I know at the present time, he just had, he's on a month-to-month basis. He had a lease. When that ran out, they just agreed to a month-to-month basis. And he knows that he's got to leave, but I think what he's concerned about is possibly having some time, because it's kind of, even though he knew that the building was ultimately going to be sold, he didn't expect it to happen so fast, and you know, with possibly a short, very short notice on having to get out. So I know he's concerned about just having some time to find a new location, and once he does identify a new location, to have time to move out without having to put everything up on a fire sale and go into bankruptcy. So, you know, I'm sure he would appreciate whatever consideration he would have as far as, you know, being allowed to stay as long as it's feasible, so that he doesn't have to, you know, end up with all this stuff out on the street in a parking lot.
We are well aware that he's a very well respected and beloved institution, 37 years. And one of our core values is respect. I think that I probably should consult with our attorney. I think we have to sort of work with the owner of the building and the tenant and our attorney to figure out what's best for everyone.
And Mike, if I might, and I
Yes.
probably demonstrated it by my remarks, I'm not representing them in the purchase of the building.
Okay. And let me ask you a question. I'm just a little confused. Is Learn a for-profit organization?
No, sir, I promise you, we're a not-for-profit organization.
You're not for profit.
For the public good, yes, sir.
Okay.
We're out for the public good.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Do any of the other commissioners have any other questions of the petitioners?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, and I'm not
Yes.
sure if this is the appropriate time or if I should wait for the staff report.
No,
but
go ahead. I know what you're gonna ask. Go ahead, please.
I was looking at the staff's conditions, and this is more directed at Mr. Messini, I think. One of the conditions that pops out at me is number 1 in the second zoning calendar, the 2626. And that says that, the proposed use by the petitioner will be an active daytime neighbor and not have any nighttime use. Um, you know, it strikes me that ordinarily schools, although they have a more limited evening and nighttime use, still have evening events, plans, those types of activities. Is that something that you're intending to do? Is there some way that you would like to see this language maybe addressed?
Thanks, Doug. Actually, I thought I had indicated, and I'm looking at what I put in there, where I have the page that starts out with About Learn. And I did indicate that while most of the programming at the school ends at about 6 p.m., there are evening programs that sometimes go on a little bit later than that. I think that's what you're getting at, correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, because this seems incompatible with that recommended condition. Maybe we need to see whether or not staff would be willing to amend that.
Which one were you looking at? This is on the suggested conditions?
This is the suggested conditions on 2626. It's condition number 1.
Number 1.
About halfway
Yes.
down page 2.
As a matter of fact, I have on my copy of that there are some evening uses for it that we had to bring up. And I know Greg mentioned it earlier, and I'm glad you highlighted it, and we had it in our application.
There you go.
And Doug, were you going to ask about the executed indemnity form?
I can certainly do that. I noticed that
please?
it was attached to the 2 zoning calendar items, but Mr. Messini, you did execute 2 indemnification agreements relative to the fact that we're taking
Right.
public hearing and voting tonight on your proposal. Yes,
Correct. We have submitted them.
thank you so much.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, now, we have a number of letters, questions, letters in support, letters in opposition, and generally, we read everything into the record, okay? Now, we have quite a stack of papers here, and I'm wondering, I was prepared to read all the letters into the record, and I'm just wondering, Mr. Corporate Counsel, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that you can make them a part of the record here. And Mr. Messini, I assume you're not going to object to us doing that, rather than actually reading the text of each letter into the record. I noticed that there's some 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think we had 28 that came in on time. The deadline was 4 o'clock this afternoon, and then there were, I think, 4 more that came in after that. So I have 28 of them here.
It looks like there's significantly more than 28 posted on board docs right now.
And some of them are very lengthy.
I think that it's more than okay for you to just acknowledge that we received these letters, that they've all been posted to board docs, and that they're incorporated as part of this hearing.
Okay, do you want me to mention the letters, who they're from, go through that part, or just
You're
not at all?
welcome to do that. I would have no objection to that.
Okay, why don't I do that? Should just take a few minutes. We have, regarding zoning calendar 2625, we have a letter from Thomas Morris, the attorney of School District 60, with some questions. And regarding 2626, another letter, a very lengthy letter from Mr. Morris again, and had questions and comments. And I know there were some concerns regarding the legitimacy of having a hearing based on the notice that was given and so forth. Mr. Durando, you had kind of answered me on that one. Would you like to make a comment on that? I'm sure the commissioners have gotten this letter, have had a chance to see it. Would you like to comment on that?
I did talk with staff. They did confirm that they published the notices properly in the newspaper and sent out all the required notices on time. The Open Meetings Act does require that we post the agenda 48 hours in advance, but does not say anything about, the necessity of posting the complete plans on the city's website for, a period of 10 to 15 days. As a matter of practice, the city of Waukegan has always posted these agendas 7 days in advance of this meeting. And in addition, to the best of my knowledge and to the best of the knowledge of the staff that I did speak with, the city never received any request from the school district specifically to review the plans prior to the meeting once those notices had been published. So I don't have any issue with you moving forward this evening, no.
Okay, and the letters from the school district were not in opposition to the request. They just had some questions. And okay, I've got the pile of letters here against. There was a letter from a Michelle Z. We didn't get her last name. Against. A letter from Kyle Lindblom, 407 Leith Avenue, Waukegan. Against. Letter from Roxanne Renteria. Against. And let's see. Roxana Morales. Against. Lucy Leguizamo. Against. And Esmeralda Gomez. Against. And then we have the pile, which is considerably larger for individuals who are in support of the petition. Okay. 2626 Joseph Gaben, it looks like, 921 South Park Avenue in Westmont, Illinois, supporting. Tim Sue, 5536 Dempster in Chicago, in support. Erica Alanis, high school placement counselor from Learn, supporting. Sylvia Rios, no address, supporting. Nerissa Dakis, in support. Jamie McGann, support. Julie Mendez, Estella Solorio, Greg Baker, Doris G. Garcia, and Tommy Sayas. Katie Jurdy, Jennifer Handyside, Elizabeth Mesa, Norma Rosario, Leslie Brueggemann, Amelia Alcaide, Julie Ruiz, Adriana Garcia, Mr. Richard Nucio. And I noticed a lot of these letters are from actual teachers and parents of Learn. Chandra Patterson, Belinda Jaques, Carlos Herrera, Erica Alanis, Mrs. Valle, Desiree Valle, Maggie Maxwell, Jeremy Martin, Felicia McKissick, C. Alba. See why I was reluctant to read them all. Athena Anderson, Nina Knighton, Edwin Rios, Rio Sandoval, and Lamont McKissick. So I didn't count them as I was going through them, but it's quite a file.
Mr. Chairman, I would just note that there are 38 of them posted on board docs, so the commissioners should have had an opportunity to review all 38.
The ones that I went through right now were 38.
I didn't count the ones that you just went through. I'm just saying the ones that have been posted publicly.
Posted on board docs, 38. Okay, thank you. Okay, before we move on, are there any other questions or comments on this, on these two items? Okay, thank you. The petitioners will be voting on this at the appropriate time. We just have one
Thank
more
you.
item before that. Okay, thank you all for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you, Mike.
Once again, I want to mention the phone number. After this next presentation, which should be pretty quick, you'll have an opportunity to call in to make any comments or ask any questions regarding any of the items that are on the agenda for tonight, or any other item that you would like to address the commission about. The number is 847-856-6412. 847-856-6412. Okay, moving on. Zoning calendar number 2627. This is a request by the petitioner, Mickey Shuck, for a conditional use permit for dwelling units above the ground floor for 114 South Genesee Street. Who is going to be presenting?
Sure. I'm sorry, could you spell your name?
Do we have a presenter?
Hello?
There we go. Mr. Sh-
Hello, sir.
Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes.
Your last- How do you pronounce your last name?
Shuk.
Shuk, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
And are you the only one that's going to be speaking regarding this request?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I'd like to swear you in. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Actually, I was not aware I'm supposed to do a presentation. I submitted application to the city. We were supposed to have a preliminary meeting, but it was canceled due to COVID-19. But basically, in my application outline, the building we're talking about is 114 South Genesee. It was originally built as, by Bloomberg, says warehouse, furniture warehouse. Previous owner, it's a five-story building, 2-story above the ground on Genesee and 3-story facing Ravinia. So totally 5 stories. Previous owner developed 3 stories of the building into 10 commercial spaces. A portion of the fifth floor, which is second story of facing Genesee, is remained undeveloped, and it's facing Genesee Street. So there's currently there's 7 office spaces. We have currently 3 vacancies, and we've been struggling to fill them up with office or business. So my proposal to the city was to rezone building to mixed use and allow us build additional 4 residential units, Class A market rate apartment units. I know for a fact that Waukegan downtown is in dire desire of foot traffic and local residents. We also own building next to it adjacent on 100 South Genesee, which is mixed use. It's a 17 apartments ranging from studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 8 commercial spaces. All 17 apartments are occupied. There's a waiting line. For commercial storefronts, we have currently 2 vacancies, and it's been an ongoing process to fill them up. The businesses in downtown, they're struggling to stay, keeping doors open because there's just not enough foot traffic. I believe that if we develop additional 4 apartments in this building, 114 Genesee, that will bring more residents, and it will help businesses to continue growing. That's basically outlines everything I want to say. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer it. There will be 4 apartments, 3 apartments, 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom. 1 apartment will be studio. 3 apartments will be facing second floor of the building, facing Genesee Street, and the studio will be facing Ravinia. There will be a laundry, common area with the laundry for accommodating apartments. There will be intercom system to get secured entrance to the building. That's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do any of the commissioners have any questions of the petitioner? Commissioner Anderson?
First of all, I'm really excited to see this. I think we need residential units in downtown Waukegan. And this is a wonderful building, and putting it into use and back into use is important, I think. A couple of questions. I thought I saw somewhere where some of the bedrooms won't have windows, but you were going to do transoms, is that correct?
That's correct. So the way the layout is, the apartment is really elongated, and we can only accommodate for a living room and one bedroom. Second bedroom are located at some daylight, but we also consider to install skylight windows to get additional natural light into the bedroom. It's just the location does not allow to have all 8 bed. There's only 6 windows, and there's let's say we're talking about 12 rooms, living rooms, living area, and 2 bedrooms per apartment.
Are you making these more loft style, or with kind of open walls and lighting, or are they the traditional floor to ceiling walls? I just, I'm thinking about if I were building a home, there's no way I could have a bedroom without a window, to be really frank. Now, if it's an open space and, it's kind of a common area with something that doesn't have a window, but has a way to get out. And I don't know where the fire marshal is in all of this. I know this is really preliminary, but that would be my one concern as I read this.
Correct. So there will be transom windows, allowing additional daylight, and there will be the second bedroom. The first bedroom has a large window facing Genesis Street. But there's no.
Can you hear him?
He's fading out a bit.
Okay.
Mr. Shuk, we're having trouble hearing you. You're not coming in really well.
Which is, it's just going to be humongous.
Okay, did you catch?
There will be skylight windows in the second bedroom to allow additional sunlight.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of the petitioner? No questions. Okay.
Michael Bill.
Yeah, if I could ask you one thing, Mickey, as far as the exit and entering that, there's a stairway that's in the common that goes out to South Genesee Street. Is there a rear entrance to? Is there 2 means to get in and out of that building on the 5th floor?
Yes, there's front entrance from Genesee Street, and there's a rear entrance from a parking lot facing west.
Okay. So that floor plan for LVL-5, Suite 501 is the area you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, and I'd like to ask city staff to give us their position on this, and I just realized I didn't ask that question for the last presentation, so we're going to do that after this. I'd like to ask city staff to please give us their up-to-the-minute position on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You were reading my mind. Steve, if you would jump in, thanks.
Staff does recommend approval for this conditional use permit. As Commissioner Anderson did point out, one of the things that, we're always looking for is more rooftops within the downtown so that you have residents who are able to patronize your commercial establishments within the downtown area so that they can survive. The other thing is that this building on the front portion has been relatively vacant for quite some time, and this will just add so much life and vibrancy for the streetscape and for the restaurants that are there. So in working with the applicant and knowing what he's got to do as far as having the units fully sprinklered, we do support this conditional use permit.
Thank you. The petitioners have any questions, or the commissioners have any questions of city staff? Okay, thank you very much. We're going to go back in time. We're going to go back to the last two items that were presented because I did not ask city staff to give us their position and then did not give commissioners a chance to ask questions of city staff. So on zoning calendar 2625 and 2626, would city staff please give us their position on this?
I'd like to go on this one by one in regards to zoning calendar 2625, which is the text amendment. I just want to clarify that all of the residential districts have the same conditional use with the same exact verbiage. You know, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel with new or unsimilar language than what is already established within the zoning ordinance. So we wanted to maintain a consistent language, which is why we had suggested with the applicant that they use that same language that we already have within the zoning ordinance and what was used in the adoption for the text amendment for Cristo Rey and then also for CLC. So staff does recommend approval for that text amendment for 2625. And then in regards to 2626, staff had worked diligently with the applicant in working with some site plan issues, and we've gone through various revisions, and there were some issues which just were not palatable to staff or what we felt were going to be palatable for the residential neighborhood, which is to the rear, which is why in the revised site plan, you have all the bus stacking within the front of the establishment rather than in the rear. And with all of the improvements that we are suggesting and with the landscaping, the new signage, and these various conditions, we feel that this will be a successful operation, and therefore we also recommend approval.
Thank you. Okay, now, commissioners, if you have any questions of city staff regarding these two items, this is your opportunity to ask them. No questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Then we're going to move forward. And once again, we are going to be opening up the phone lines in just a minute or so. In fact, I think we already have a caller two stacked. The phone number to call in to is 847-856-6412. 847-856-6412. Okay. Moving forward, item 5, informational items. I don't believe we have any informational items, do we, staff? No, I don't think so. Okay. All right. I think we're ready for general audience time. And okay, we have, I think the phone lines are busy, so give us a second. We're going to start accepting the calls in just a couple of seconds. Item 6, general audience time and comments received on all proposals in order received. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it sounds like Kathy's taking a call.
She's taking the call.
I will admit your first caller.
You
Her
will,
name is-
okay.
Yes, her name
You
is
can do
Meg.
that, huh?
At the moment I can. We'll see how technology cooperates. No promises for next try.
Is this Maggie? Maggie Morales?
It appears to be muted. I don't know if that's. on
She's
her
still
end or-
muted.
Maggie, for public comment, can you unmute yourself, please?
And Mr.
You
Chairman.
might have to press
to the
star
best of
6.
your
Star 6.
ability, try to swear people in.
I'm sorry?
To the best of your
Hello,
ability.
can you hear me?
Try to swear people in.
We can, Maggie.
Great.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, and
Maggie's
we
on the
need to
line.
swear everybody in. Everybody that calls in, we need to swear them in.
Okay.
Do we?
Yes, this is she.
Maggie,
Hi, yes,
Maggie Morales?
yes.
Okay, I would like to swear you in, please, and then we'll let you make your comments or ask your questions. Please raise your right hand.
Yes.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you.
And now people are calling.
Okay, we're ready to listen.
I didn't want to.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Is there a way to see the meeting?
Yes.
Or did they have, it said the host is,
Yeah, you can't if the
so
host.
I can't. So I can just.
Maggie, if you have your live stream on, you may be hearing the delay on that. If you could turn the sound off on that so that you can hear just what's happening on the live feed, that will help, please. And you are muted again, so you need to press *6 once more.
Yeah, you can't.
It came up and said that after we were finished.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Can you hear me?
Can they hear you right now?
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
I just am calling in. My name is Maggie Morales. I'm a longtime resident of the city of Waukegan and a parent of a Learn 9 student, a second grader named Olivia. And my husband and I are both residents, lifelong residents of Waukegan, grew up going to the public schools here and just know the importance of education. And so when we had the opportunity to build a family here in the community, we were really looking for a school that had high standards of excellence, dual language, and a really strong familial learning environment. And that's what we found at Learn. And I just want to respectfully request your support of this opportunity because I think it's a phenomenal development opportunity and a phenomenal opportunity that's going to be an incredible asset, not only to the families of Learn, but to the community at large. I work for a community foundation that does a lot of support of nonprofit partners and community residents and neighbors. And I think, you know, through the work that I've done and seen, I'm so impressed with Learn's staff and leadership and their ability to partner with others. So I encourage your support and really appreciate your consideration this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have another caller?
I have just admitted Adriana. We lost our caller number 2 apparently. So Adriana is technically caller number 3. Adriana, can you please mute any live stream that you might be listening to and then unmute yourself so you can be sworn in and give your testimony. You can unmute yourself by pressing *6 on your phone.
Adriana, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, Adriana,
Can
what is your?
you hear me now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, what is your last name, Adriana?
Gonzalez, Gonzalez.
Okay, I would like to swear you in. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm
Okay.
that do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yep. I
Okay,
affirm.
please proceed.
Okay. So I heard just recently about the rezoning of People's Choice as a private school. From my understanding, it's going to be a new Learn Center, which I understand is a tuition-free private school. But I wanted to just give a comment and say that I would be against the rezoning because People's Choice as a small business and also as a place where, you know, our working class families can actually go have fun with their kids. It's one of the few places that people can really bond and, you know, provide an affordable, joyful experience for their kids. I grew up at People's Choice. My cousin goes there all the time. Obviously, the pandemic has flipped everything on its head, and families can't send their kids there or take their kids there. But I feel like we would be losing something very special in the community and something that would be exclusive. I'm not quite sure how the charter school would select students, which is another concern of mine. I think
you know, we've been making incredible gains at our elementary schools, at our public elementary schools, and I feel that we shouldn't be promoting the, you know, the expansion of private schools when we can be funneling that money to the schools that we already send our kids to. I don't have my own kids, but I feel like it's something that we should consider. Yeah, if you know, if we're looking toward the future of our educational institutions in the city of Waukegan, I think we should be more cautious about who we let thrive here. And I feel like our taxpayer money can be better funding our current schools as they are. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you're muted.
I realize that. Thank you very much. I think we have another caller on the line.
Our next caller is caller number 4, Jeremy. Jeremy, if you would please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and mute any background playing of the live stream so that it doesn't affect your hearing.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just turned my computer off.
Jeremy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you
what
for
is your
letting me.
What is your last name?
Last name Martin, first name Jeremy.
Martin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to swear you in. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm
Yes.
that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do, sir.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Rodriguez and fellow commissioners. Thank you very much for taking the time tonight to let us voice our opinions. And I want to let you know that I've been in the field of education for over 20 years, and I've worked at many different schools, and Learn Charter is amazing. I've been there for 4 years. I'm one of the coordinators there. I've been started 20 years ago in the Peace Corps. I've worked in charter schools. I've worked in public schools. I've worked in different countries across the world. And what we have is something dynamic and it's unique. It's family oriented and it's preparing our citizens of Waukegan for the future. Everybody's invited to join. It's like I said, like a family, and we are having this building would just be just an amazing thing, I think, for the community, for the citizens, and for the future of our students. And I really believe that it's a great option for everybody. Thank you for your time. I'm going to let somebody else speak. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Yes.
Do we have another caller?
Mr. Chairman, caller number 5 is Juan Lobo. Juan, if you would turn off or mute any live stream that you're listening to and unmute your phone by pressing *6, please.
Mr. Lobo, can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Juan Lobo. I'm calling on behalf of Vivian
before
Lobo.
you start, I'd like to swear you in, please. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
I am currently a father of a fellow Learn 9 students. That both of my three of my kids are at Learn 9, and I think that it's one of the best things that I ever decided to do. The school is very, very, very good, very academically. I could say that all around. I want to commend them on their great efforts in teaching, and their teachers are great and they're phenomenal. And I just want to give them a round of applause that I think they're doing a really, really great job. And I'm proud to say that my oldest, Vivian, is a honor roll student from Learn 9, straight A student. I think they were going to, I had them enrolled in Lake County Baptist schools. That was a private school. It's a religious school. And I did not see the academic challenges that Learn 9 is what Learn 9 is doing to them and giving them. You know, the private school wasn't doing it right, especially in mathematics and in their reading. They were a little behind, but now I see from them going to Learn 9 it's opening up their eyes and opening up everything that they're learning, and it's incredible. And I think that by giving them a bigger facility, I think you're giving an opportunity for more children to have this opportunity, because it's so worth it. I mean, it's a great school, and I think I don't know how to express. I'm expressing myself in a way that I'm giving you the honest truth in what I believe in. And I was forking out so much money to sending them to private schools and all this money. And now that I see Learn 9, what they're doing and their efforts in educating our children I think it's a great thing. I don't know what else to say. And I think that they deserve a bigger facility so other students can have the opportunity and have the chance to learn like my children are learning, because it's very important. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is that by giving other children a chance to do this, I think that it's a great thing. And if we want to Waukegan to flourish, I think we should start by our education. Our education is very important here. I think it should be one of our top priorities. And I think that by doing this, by opening up a bigger facility, we give the opportunity to other children that need this extra push to learn and to interact with other kids that like to learn, you know. So I think that it would be a very, very good thing you guys to do this, open up another facility. And not only that, is that the students that are going to come out of Learn 9 to go to the university, they're going to be well prepared in their reading, their math, their science. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I don't know what else to say, but to move forward, for you guys to move forward and do it. I think it would be better for everyone, and even for us. And think about our students, and think about our kids. I'm sorry, to do that. And I don't know what else to say. I think that's it. That's all I want to do.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your comments.
Thank
We have
you.
another caller?
Mr. Chairman, caller number 6 is Carolina. Carolina, please mute any background live stream you're listening to and unmute your phone by pressing *6. Those callers who have already spoken, if you would please disconnect from the line and you can listen again on the live stream. Thank you.
Is this Carolina Fabian?
This is.
This is. Hi, Carolina. How are you?
All right.
Good. Would you, I'm going to swear you in, please. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
I am calling today to voice my concerns over the rezoning of People's Choice to Learn Charter School. As a Waukegan resident, I do not support this request for various reasons. First and foremost, I am against the use of taxpayer dollars for a private enterprise in the form of a charter school. You said that the expansion would be at no expense to the taxpayer. However, let's be clear. Lowell currently receives close to $6 million in taxpayer money, money that is pulled away from the public education that my children currently receive. And it would pull more money away should they increase the number of classrooms. And furthermore, they do not contribute in the form of taxes. Yet it does not serve the entire public, as it chooses which kids receive their services, which is approximately 400 versus the 1,600 at Waukegan Public Schools. They also are not required to use certified teachers or programs of support, for example, support for our homeless students and other areas. I am all about choice, but not at the expense of the taxpayer or losing a business integral to our community. Learn is a business run by a CEO who's based in Chicago with a revenue about 55 million in 2018. They have yet to prove that they have been successful in closing the achievement gap in Waukegan. I looked up their report card. It shows 16% met the Park test standards in ELA and only 9% in math in 2018, as Park was not notified or not given in the 2019 year. People's Choice is also owned and operated by Waukegan's own. John gives so much to our schools and community because he is a Waukeganite and believes in our community. Furthermore, People's Choice is the only family fun center we have. Families in Waukegan have limited options for entertainment. We no longer have a movie theater, skating rink, or any other family fun centers. We do, however, have 23 public schools, several parochial schools, and other private schools that parents may choose from. I have spent much time and hosted birthday parties, my children's birthday parties, and school fundraisers at People's Choice. And I would be disappointed in the city if they let us lose a business who has contributed so much to our community over the decades, is affordable, and hires our Waukegan youth. We keep saying that we want our community to grow its own and support their own, yet if we're ready to tear that down, I think that's just so disappointing. At some point, COVID will end and families will be able to return to family entertainment, which is the argument right now that they're not doing as well. But again, as a taxpayer, a Waukeganite, and most importantly, a mother to 4 children, I oppose this rezoning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. You have somebody else on the line?
Caller number 7 is Brenda. Brenda, please also mute any background live stream and unmute your phone call by pressing *6.
Brenda, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Brenda, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What is your last name, Brenda?
Salgado.
Salgado. Let me just write that down. Okay, I'm going to swear you in. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Okay, please proceed.
So I am going to be talking in opposition of the charter school relocation. I'm specifically gonna talk about also some issues that have already been discussed about in terms of being the only family fun center that Waukegan has. We really don't have a lot right now in terms of Waukegan, in terms of having places for parents and families to go to, especially also students. It's such an integral part of our community, also mainly because as a Waukegan public school teacher, we've done a lot of fundraisers with them. And so seeing them, no longer be in the community, it's going to really affect my students personally, as well as our schools and all of our students in Waukegan public schools. I also wanted to mention that I don't think enough time has been given to residents and to people of Waukegan. I almost feel like we're all being we're almost kind of being like they're using the pandemic and the epidemic as sort of like an opportunity to do this or push this through without really talking to the residents. I know a couple of people that I know who live in that area didn't even know about this. So they're not in agreement also. And obviously I'm just speaking for myself, but the main issue I think is using taxpayer money for this. I understand that it is a public charter school, but it's based out of Chicago, which is not really, I don't think that a school that's based out of Chicago understands the needs of Waukegan and Waukegan students, as well as I know personally people who go to that school or have children who go to that school who are not even Waukegan residents. And I think that that's obviously not something that we want to promote as a city. And I don't think that we have had enough time. I know that the owner is invested in Waukegan. I don't think that he's been given enough time. Maybe it seems, I know some people commented that he had been to the meeting, but I feel like maybe he was blindsided by some of it as well. And so I think that It's not going to be something I'm for, as somebody else has stated, I'm for maybe choice, having students have a choice and families have a choice, but they can easily find a vacant lot. There are plenty in Waukegan, and I feel like this would be more of a gentrification move as opposed to something that will be an investment, seeing as how it's going to be detrimental to a very vital business that we have in Waukegan. And also, from what I know somebody already mentioned, looking at the school report card, a lot of the teachers who are employed for this school are not from Waukegan and don't really understand the needs of Waukegan students and Waukegan residents. So I think that's the majority. A lot of it was already mentioned so I don't really want to be repetitive, but that's my feedback.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have just admitted caller number 8, Oscar. Oscar, if you could please mute any live stream you're listening to in the background and unmute your phone line by pressing *6. Brenda, if you would disconnect your phone line, we would appreciate that. Thank you.
Oscar, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Yes, hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Oscar Arias, A-R-I-A-S?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm going to swear you in, Oscar. Please raise your right hand.
Sure.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
Right. Yeah, so I'm just calling in today just to voice my opposition of the relocation of Learn. It's just mostly for a number of reasons. Primarily, I'm born and raised in Waukegan. I have a lot of family in Waukegan. Went through the Waukegan school system myself. And I wanted to voice my opposition to the relocation. Primarily, well, on the basis that it's a public charter school. I feel like it's kind of detracts from the current public schools that we have right now in Waukegan. I know we have been making big strides in the school district. I have, like I said, family members that that are involved with the school board, family members that attend the school, and a lot of teachers I know, and everything seems to be improving. And people really like the sense of community that is very local and built in Waukegan and drives a lot of stuff. And primarily because it is a charter school from outside of the city, I feel that that kind of approving this relocation would be a slippery slope for taking away funds, students, and other services from the public school system into the future. And I don't know if that's something we want to promote in our community because it isn't something that's based in Waukegan, and we want to serve our residents first and foremost. And I mean, just the fact that it's a charter school, it won't be serving everybody in our community. It'll be up to a lottery or whatever other methods that they decide to do. So a lot of people won't be, it won't be accessible to people. And in addition to that, it'll be replacing or displacing a longtime pillar of the community, People's Choice, which, I mean, I've grown around People's Choice. I know a lot of people that go there, have worked there, first job. So there's a lot of great opportunities that the People's Choice has provided for the community. I know they also donate their time, money, and community service to the public school system as well. So they're very in tune with our community. And I feel just in general, it would be very predatory to have this charter school system to displace them in the middle of a pandemic too, with no plan behind how the business owner is going to survive afterwards. So losing him will be a very big hit for our community and economically, and just in the keeping the fabric of our community together. We'll definitely lose a pillar. And I mean, in general, I'm not really sure why they want to take over this place because I mean, a lot of you probably know we have a lot of different vacant buildings in Waukegan, and there's a lot of different places to choose from that they could have like their own place. So I don't see why we have to trade off like a pillar of our community for an outside entity to come in and kind of take part in taking away some of our students and not paying taxes and a bunch of other stuff like that. So it just seems very predatory to me. Even, I mean, we've had calls come in today just from residents, but also a lot from outside people who have not been part of this community. And it just seems very strange to me how it's just been flooded in with non-residents. So yeah, that's primarily my position to the relocation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Caller number 9 is Teresa. Teresa, if you could also please mute any background live stream that you're playing and unmute your phone line by pressing *6.
Teresa, can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah,
Teresa
hear
Keen,
me?
that's Teresa with an H, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, what I'd like to do is to swear you in. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or
Yes.
affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Okay, please proceed.
Hello. My name is Teresa Keen, and I am a teacher at Learn Charter. I have been there since they opened in 2015 when we were in a tiny little building on McAllister. It was kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. The next year we were able to move to another building on Glen Flora, and now we need a much bigger space. And so I am in support of rezoning this for our school. One thing I do want to note, I've heard people say that Learn is a private enterprise, and we are not a private enterprise. We are a public charter school. We are not for profit. And the data that was stated earlier about the scores, for 2019, the correct data is that 29% of our students met or exceeded in ELA, and 20% met or exceeded in math, as opposed to the 13% and the 9%. So we are making growth. It's not going to come overnight, but it is happening. I also think that this would be a good thing for the community as a whole and the neighborhood. With the way the economy is going, and businesses not being open right now because of COVID-19, I don't foresee People's Choice being something that would be around for as long as we possibly could be. I think the fact that we can add 7 classrooms is very positive, especially to the parents whose kids already go to our school, because right now we're at capacity. And so any parents who had siblings, we're not, at least in kindergarten, we were not able to take as many students because of the building capacity that we are at. Also, we do not pick and choose the students that we take into our school. It is a lottery. So everyone has the same ability to attend our school. Nobody has a test to get in there. You don't have to fill out an application and nothing like that. So I just wanted to clarify a few of the things that I heard other callers mention, and just put in my support for this.
Thank you very much.
Caller 10 seems to have dropped off the line. Caller 11 is Lucy. Lucy, if you would please also mute any background live stream, and you can unmute yourself by pressing *6 on your phone.
Lucy, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Is this Lucy?
Hi, yes, I'm
Leguizamo?
here. How are you?
Good. Lucy
Yes, it
Leguizamo.
is.
Okay, I'd like to swear you in, please. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear
Mm-hmm.
or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you so much. You know what? Let me just play this really quick. I apologize. Okay. So I have actually questions, comments, and a statement here. So I will start with my questions first. And this is in regards to zone calendar 2625. This would probably be for your zoning department. I'd actually like to understand why the recommendation is to amend the zoning ordinance section 8.3B2 community shopping district and section 8-3-4 conditional uses as opposed to using a variance to the ordinance. Amending these ordinances will make a permanent change to the zoning law and will open up the opportunity for other educational institutions to go into any commercial property that is currently zoned as a commercial property. So if this is a one-time thing, then why is the city not using a variance to deviate from the current zoning ordinance, which is more lot specific? Just so that you know my take on this, I feel that this should be more of a case-by-case situation in regards to repurposing or rezoning a specific location from or making a one-time exception for use. So just like to understand that if you can, please. Thank you.
Sure, and Corporation Counsel Durando, feel free to jump in here at any time. Same with you, staff. So a variance is for a basically minor change from an existing condition. The proper way to go about making this type of change is through a text amendment that changes the text of our ordinance to create a conditional use process for this. The conditional use process does exactly what you said, looks at a property on a case-by-case basis, and that's the way we can evaluate those. So a variance really isn't an appropriate way to treat zoning for this type of use. It would be to do exactly what we're doing, the text amendment to create a conditional use and then a conditional use permit process.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. Then I'd like to also request then an amendment to the ordinance, if I may, which would be to use the specificity in that language. It is on paragraph 4, and the sentence is, where did it go? I lost it here. Oh, here it goes. The sentence is specifically private primary schools. The information or the term educational institution has already been defined under section 1, paragraph 1, and I don't feel that that additional specificity is needed in this contract or this amendment. I'd just like to hear your comments on that part.
I believe that Mr. Sabrin already addressed that in that this is the common language that we're using in other parts of the ordinance. We did have another comment, a written comment that was submitted that requested that we use alternate language, not specifying private schools. And those are things that we'll consider. This body does not approve ordinances. They make recommendations on the zoning portions. Only City Council approves the ordinances, and the ordinance would go before City Council next month. So we can look at the recommendations for that and consider any changes that are compliant and suitable for our zoning ordinance, though we do try to use consistent language throughout the ordinance and not vary that language in one section over others.
Okay, thank you for that. And so I have the questions here for the LEARN team, the planning team, and the zoning commission in regards to zone calendar 2626. So I will start off with the LEARN team, if that is fine.
Please.
So for the LEARN team, I'd just like to understand, for the current location that you're at the Glen Flora site, do you currently own that or lease it? Or if anyone else knows that on behalf of LEARN. I'm sorry, is their line muted? I can't hear. Should I go on the YouTube?
I believe that they are renting. They are renting that property from Community Action Partnership of Lake County. They're the ones that own the property.
Thank you for that, Mr. Rodriguez. And so I was wondering, does Learn 9 have any proposal for that facility at this time, or that comes along with this movement?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
I'm not aware of that either, but because they are a tenant, I don't know that it's their obligation to determine the future use of that building. Lake County Community Action is the owner, and they have previously occupied the building. They may opt to reoccupy it.
Okay, thank you for that. Then this question would be for the planner. As it stands currently, the location at 2411 Grand Avenue and Learn 9 at Glen Flora site are both occupied sites. How does this move the move from Learn 9 going over to the 2411 Grand Avenue building falls in line with the City of Waukegan's new strategic plan, which the strategic plan also includes the reduction of building abandonments?
These are both private real estate deals that the city is not a party to. Certainly any owner can sell their building to a willing buyer who can use it in accordance with zoning. So this is the process that the city has for addressing the use. We are not able or in fact willing to step in the middle of a private real estate transaction. That wouldn't be an appropriate activity for the city. So yes, we do hope to keep buildings occupied. But if a building owner lists the building for sale and a potential buyer comes and is interested in purchasing that building and can get through a process to have a use that's approvable, then that's something that the private market dictates.
Right, but the City of Waukegan Planning Department issued a statement of their recommendation for the rezoning of this location and for the movement pretty much. So that's why I'm trying to understand, as the city had provided their new strategic plan, as a planner for the City of Waukegan, how is it that the Planning Department is recommending this rezoning? And how does that fall in line with our strategic plan?
Sure. Well, the comprehensive plan, I believe, is what you're referring to. The comprehensive plan, sure. We do obviously prefer that buildings are occupied. However, Learn as a private entity feels that the space that they're in is no longer suitable for their needs. They're within their rights to seek another location. They have found a willing seller for a building that they feel suits their needs. Our role in that is to look at the land use. That's the zoning role. So the way that that can be considered is the way that they have proceeded, which is to apply for the text amendment and then apply for the conditional use permit, which evaluates that use on an individual basis for that location. There is still currently an owner of the other building. I have not been told that it's being abandoned. Lake County Community Action has been the owner of and the user of, for most of the time, that the building on Glen Flora for a long time. And we have a good relationship with them. I expect we'll be made aware of their proposed use at the time that they're certain that Learn would be vacating the space. My expectation, though I don't know this for certain, and anyone from the Learn team that wants to comment on this, feel free. My expectation is that if this deal doesn't go through, that Learn would probably stay where they are until they find another location. So then it could be a moot point with regard to the Glen Flora site for the time being. Does that answer your question, or did you have something further on that?
Yes, no, perfect. That did answer my questions. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And this right here, these questions are for the Zoning Commission. So I know, Mr. Rodriguez, you are the president there. If you can respond or have anyone else in your team respond. But according to the public documents that I had access to from board docs, I did not find any support or objection letters from the current tenant at 2411 Grand Avenue. Does the Planning and Zoning Commission have those documents from the tenant that shows that there is a support or objection to this? And I know there was a comment made that the tenants were aware, but I didn't see any sort of proper forms in regards to that, as I believe a tenant under the zoning law would be a substantial party to this transaction.
The tenant did not provide a statement either way, and our regulations for the mailing of the notices is to the property owners, not to every tenant. We couldn't possibly know about every tenant in every building. Corporation Counsel, do you want to share anything else on that?
No, I think you pretty accurately covered that. The fact is that tenants have very little right when it comes to the actual land use law in and of itself, because they are only a tenant on the property rather than the actual owner of the property. So the owner of the property has the notice right because their rights are vested and will last much longer. I think is the best way to.
I appreciate that explanation. And just to kind of go further and dig a little bit more into that, as you talked about that, as we all know, there's only one tenant in this facility. And so, I mean, there isn't a statement that or document that the zoning commission had received that indicates in support or opposition to. And so I know that there's going to be a vote on this later on. And so I'm just trying to understand how the zoning commission would be able to vote on something without at least one crucial tenant in this transaction.
The law doesn't actually require any party to make an affirmative statement agreeing to or not objecting to the process, especially somebody like a tenant. The parties that have to be involved obviously would be the property owner themselves, and again the city, if it's an amendment to the zoning code or if it's a variance or the issuance of a CUP. But really, with respect to neighboring property owners, tenants, there's no real obligation for them to be a part of that process. We cannot force them to be a part of the process if they don't want to make a statement.
Right, and it was indicated through one of the presentations from Learn that they were willing to collaborate with the tenant. So in the spirit of collaboration and outside of the law and in the spirit of an ethical process, wouldn't you feel as a zoning commission that you would at least want to have some sort of supporting or opposition documentation from the one tenant that has been in our community for 37 years?
Again, the tenant has made no effort to communicate with the commission and to make his position known on this issue. It's
okay. So it is the tenants, is what you're saying. It's all onus on the tenant to make that sort of comment.
If he wanted to have his voice heard, he has the same right that you do as a citizen of Waukegan to make a comment to this board, to make his position known. It's clear that he was aware of these proceedings. He has a right to, certainly, but we can't force him, and there's certainly no ethical issues that are raised by this.
Lucy, you originally addressed your question to the commission, and I'd like to just share with you the experience that I had. John Sarantakis, the owner of People's Choice, did reach out to me approximately 2 weeks ago. This is when he first found out that this was going on. I mean, I guess he had the idea that the building was on the market, but he had no idea that a deal was in the works and that it was this close to fruition. When he found out about it, he was hearing rumors from different people, didn't even hear it from the landlord, was hearing rumors from different people in the community who I guess had some knowledge, some information about it. And he was told that if this was recommended for approval at tonight's meeting, that he would be getting a 30-day notice. So he panicked and wanted to know if there was something that we could do to not so much stop it, because I guess he doesn't want to stand in the way of progress, but he is asking if there is some consideration that he can get so that he doesn't have to be out in 30 days, which is an impossible task for him. He has no place to store all of his equipment. Even moving it would be a very expensive proposition. He doesn't have a new location, although a couple of different places have been mentioned to him in the last 48 hours. And even if he were to find a place that was suitable to him, the negotiations to get into a new space, and then the preparations, the construction and rehab, and even the moving would take months. So he is very worried that not only will he be out of business, but that he will be in bankruptcy. He's been in Waukegan for 37 years, providing a service, a good service, keeping our kids off the streets, providing entertainment for children and their families. And he just feels that this is a little bit unfair to him. I guess all's fair in love and war and business, but he just is looking for some way to save him and his business so that he is not in bankruptcy and out of business. So that's what I know about it. He did appeal to me, and I did inquire. I spoke with Noelle about it, and she had indicated that there might be some properties available that he might be able to move into, and he's been looking, but hadn't had any success. But he was hoping the city could help him in some way, or that the new tenants would maybe not be in such a hurry. I mean, if they were talking about preparing the facility for fall of 2022, it would be a different story. He would have some time, and they wouldn't be so anxious to get him out. But even if he were out, for Learn to go in there and set their sights on August of 2021, that's a very ambitious schedule. And even that is going to take some doing, I think. But, he just feels that it's just kind of, he was blindsided, and, at the time he called me, he just didn't know what to do. So that's my experience with it. That was the knowledge that I had as a member of the commission.
Thank you for that, Mr. Rodriguez. I appreciate the insight on that. And as I'm only privy to the public documents that are available to me on board docs. And as I'm looking through the information, it was something that I did find was missing, and I thought would be a very crucial point. And if I was on the on the zoning commission board, I would be asking for one of those documents, specifically that one. That was just more of a comment there. I'll proceed on to the last question that I have here. And I don't know if this is at this level or this is at the city level, but in regards to the proposal, I see the 2 outdoor fields. I do show that, which shows that the closest end of the field to Grand Avenue does not have any sort of barrier, fence, a high barrier of a sort that will stop balls from going into the traffic area for Grand Avenue. And so I don't know if that is at this zoning commissioning meeting, or if that is a different department that would need to take a look into that.
That particular issue isn't exactly a zoning issue. It would be more of a traffic issue with police. I trust that the Learn team will review that after this comment and ensure that whatever necessary barriers are put in place.
Right. And so, you know, and I know I've had children in junior soccer leagues, so I've seen the fields there. It's proposed soccer fields. And at junior leagues, those balls go flying long distances. So that's something that I would really caution, and it would be a hazard to the traffic out there. And so I just wanted to make sure that that was something that was reviewed. I will go ahead and proceed on with the comments that I prepared. Let's see, I'll try to keep them as quick as brief as possible, but there are 4 of them.
We do have a couple more callers tonight, and we do need to stay focused on the zoning issues. Thank you.
Right, and it is in regards to the zoning issue, because as part of the presentation, there was an indication in regards to traffic. So Grand Avenue was presented that it is not a high traffic road, when in actuality, Grand Avenue is a high traffic area, which serves as one of the main arteries into Waukegan and into its downtown. So Grand Avenue will not survive as a one lane on each side. Even if the drivers use the other 2 main arteries, which is Washington and Belvedere, those are currently already backed up at this time. And with the overflow from Grand Avenue moving on to those streets would cause chaos. So I wanted to comment in regards to the presentation that was provided to the zoning board here in regards to traffic on that. The next one is in relation to taxes. So as stated in the presentation that there would be no increase in taxpayers. That statement was actually incorrect. If this is approved, that would mean that this place would have an increased enrollment in students, which would mean that the Waukegan public school systems would have to provide alone additional money from property taxes because it is based off of enrollment. So that is the true force. Additionally, this property currently pays taxes. We would lose this tax revenue, and the city of Waukegan would have to increase the taxes at that time. And as you know, you follow the city of Waukegan or the school board meetings, you know that they have been trying their best to try to maintain taxes at a steady level. And so that comment was incorrect. Also, a comment was made, actually I'll skip this one. A comment was made and presented in regards to higher education. Other people have indicated on this call that Learn is not really keeping up to that promise. Let's see here. I will actually just kind of show here that, not show, but indicate that the Waukegan Public Schools actually have 2 schools in higher education learning standing. One, which is McCall Elementary, they are a blue ribbon school, and John Clark Elementary, which is an exemplary status school. And if you'd like to know what those are, I did submit an objection letter along with all of this that you guys can all read, and I did give you definitions on there. So once again, I will just proceed on to the final comment, which is I did submit an objection letter, and please, there are 6 arguing points on there. If you can read that prior to making your decision, I'm giving you facts in there, I'm giving you links in there. I'm not giving you a marketing tactic, which was presented today. So I am a property tax payer. I am a resident of Waukegan. I think during the spirit of COVID-19, the spirit of the Illinois Executive Order 2020-72, which is the eviction moratorium, and during this unprecedented times of COVID-19, I would behoove the city of or the City Planning and Zoning Commission to wait at minimum for when the City of Waukegan allows for the current business owners to open their doors of operation prior to making a rezoning decision that can probably, as Mr. Rodriguez had indicated, have them liquidate and go bankrupt. So once again, I will finalize here and say that I call upon you to object or do not support the rezoning request as it stands proposed today at this moment, or at a minimum, hold it over until the city of Waukegan allows the current business owners to open its business doors so that he can gain some profit and finance the other options that would probably be available. And hopefully he'd probably like to stay in Waukegan as well. So those, I yield my time. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
I have just admitted caller number 12, Austin. Caller number 13 has dropped off, by the way. Caller number 12, Austin, if you could mute any background live stream you have playing and unmute yourself by pressing *6. Thank you.
Austin, can you hear me? Hello? Austin, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Austin Cantu, I guess, right?
Yes,
Hi, Austin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to swear you in. Please raise your right hand.
All right.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
So for this rezoning of the property on 2411 on Grand Avenue, in my personal, this is only me, not me or any organizations or anything, just me, I would oppose to it. I do understand the city of Waukegan isn't one of the parties that's involved with like the purchasing or the transfer of this property, since it would be through private owners, but I would take it into consideration of traffic laws. I think I heard when you were speaking to Lucy that it might not be on the planning and zoning commissioners plate when deciding on the traffic in the area. But I would like to remind everyone that we have Waukegan High School Brookside campus, which is less than a mile away from this proposed location, that when school is back in session, we are going to face that traffic problem, since we do have over 2,000 students at the campus. We have to also think about students when they're leaving school, the traffic going down Macquarie, which is pretty unbearable on a regular school day, and then your regular traffic while going through Grand Avenue. I know this might not be on the exact plate, and I was looking at the plans that were provided in board docs on the traffic route for buses and parent drop-off, but we do still need to keep in mind the traffic that is going to come once schools are open, and if this proposed charter school does come to fruition, the traffic buildup that we're going to expect in the upcoming year. I would also like to point out that we should be considerate of the property, the current occupier of the property, and the state that they're in at the moment during the pandemic. And since it is a business that's over 37 years old, that we need to be considerate of how they're going through this process of not having a location. As you said before, I know it's not a city thing. I know it's not a property owner thing. This might be a thing that maybe needs to be resolved on their own. But I do ask the promoter of this proposal does take this into consideration if this transfer does go through. I would also like to point out this shouldn't be a thing that would be compared to Crystal Ray St. Martin. Crystal Ray St. Martin moved into a vacant building, which was the Kmart. It was a larger lot and a larger vacant building. They moved from a 30,000 square foot to 115,000 square foot. The People's Choice Family Fun Center, they're only about 43,000 square foot, and you're also moving into a non-vacant building. It's kind of, you can't look at it the same way as a property that was vacant for years and years and years that was finally rehabbed. I'm not saying that this is on everyone's plate. I would just like everyone to take this into their recommendations of thinking about what this could be the future of what's going to happen in the city and in that intersection and with the school just a mile ahead. And you have the pool lounge right across the street from the school.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any other callers? Gonna wait a minute. I'm gonna give the number one more time in case there's somebody that still wants to call. And we'll wait a minute. 847-856-6412. 847-856-6412. In case there's somebody watching that was not watching when we give the number out. We'll just wait a minute.
At the present time, we have no additional callers.
Thank you. Okay, I guess we're going to move forward then. That concludes general audience time and comments. Next item, item 7, votes on all business items. We'll start off with zoning calendar number 2624. That is a request by the petitioner, City of Waukegan, for adoption of the Northern Lakeshore Trail Connectivity Plan. Do we have a motion?
Mr.
I'll make the
Chairman,
motion.
Commissioner Anderson is making a Commissioner Anderson started.
Okay, I'll make the motion that the city of Waukegan adopt the Northern Lakeshore Trail Connectivity Plan, that we make that recommendation to the city of Waukegan for zoning calendar 2624.
And you
I'll
second that,
second
Mr.
that.
Grimes?
Yes.
Motion by Commissioner Anderson, second by Commissioner Grimes. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Anderson,
Yes?
Bill,
Aye.
Griffin, Grimes,
Yes.
Haug, Haug,
He has recused himself, Kathy.
sorry. Hintz,
yes.
Rivera,
Alderman Rivera, you're muted.
Yes.
Okay.
Santiago,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes, motion carries. Okay. We have the next two items. We're going to take them separately. Item 2625, a request by the petitioner, Lawndale Educational and Regional Network, LEARN, for a text amendment to B2 district align private school as a conditional use. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend motion to recommend approval, zoning calendar 2625 as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Hintz. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Santiago. Do we have any comments? Any further discussion on this motion?
I think I'd like to delay this, and I understand how important it is to learn. But I also, we got a lot of feedback and a lot of interest in the community saying we have a 37-year tenant. And if you look at our directions, whether the owner has proven a hardship that significantly outweighs the benefits to the public of the existing regulations, number 4, and number 6, the length of time the property has remained vacant, and the extent to which the existing zoning restrictions have been the cause of the property's vacancy. It's not vacant. It's not a zoning issue here. This is a landlord-tenant and a sale issue. But, you know, we heard many people reference how this particular business has been in the community and supported the community. I think there isn't any question about that. If I were going by the letter of the law, the fact that the property isn't vacant, you know, why would we do a conditional use permit? Now, that's one question. But the other question is, shouldn't an owner be able to sell their property? And I think they should. And so I just like to give a chance for this to be worked, you know, give them another 4 weeks to work this out. It's just, that's where I'm at. And
Mr. Chairman?
if other commissioners want to, you know, disagree, I'm okay with that. But that's kind of where I personally am.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Commissioner Grimes.
Yeah, I concur with what was just stated and even go further. I go further with it, you know, knowing John, knowing the people's choice, and hearing the comments, you know, that he gave you. I think we owe it to him and the community to at least hold this over and give it more thought and go from there. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one comment from me since I made the motion, just for clarity, this motion was specific to the text amendment, right? So I don't know if it makes sense to separate those two, but my motion was specific to the text amendment, which maybe the comments apply more to the second one.
That is understood. However, the purpose of making this text amendment is to allow that business to occupy that space.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. So that's why the comments are being made for this item. Because if this issue were not up for this particular space, we wouldn't even be considering this text amendment.
Fair enough.
Are there any other comments? Any further discussion? Yes, Commissioner Bill.
Chairman, I would like to mirror Commissioner Anderson and Commissioner Grimes' thoughts and processes, and I think I would have to vote against it if we did vote on it.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
It's been a couple hours since this part of the discussion was had, but you may recall earlier this evening, there was discussion about those particular 8 issues, and those are in fact, as Attorney Massini pointed out, the LaSalle factors, and those particular ones, numbers 4 and 6, don't necessarily apply in this case. I apologize that we have used that blanket language in all cases, and we will work as a staff to clean that up. But the hardship is specific to variances, not to text amendments or conditional uses. And so that's an oversight on my part as the director in allowing that to remain in the staff report. And I apologize to you for that and for any confusion that may cause. If you do in fact wish to hold this over, to table it to a date certain, a couple of things on that. Number one, you already had a motion on the floor, so that motion would have to be withdrawn in order for a new motion to be made to table it. Otherwise, you would need to act on that initial motion, and then you could make a subsequent motion if you chose to. Also, at this point, we have no applications in line for a January meeting. So my expectation was that we would not be having a January meeting. If this is tabled, please table it to a date certain so we can decide whether that is a January meeting or a February meeting. So if somebody does make a motion to do that, if the first motion either is withdrawn or fails, then please make your motion to table it to either a January meeting or a February meeting or some other meeting in the future, just so that it's clear for everybody when that would come back if it does in fact go that way.
Thank you. Do any of the other commissioners have any comments? All right, I'd like to make my comments. I've been holding back, but as the learned people probably remember, I am no fan of charter schools. I am no fan of vouchers. I am no fan of Betsy DeVos. I have always felt that public education money belonged in public education. I have seen the charter schools just flaunt their numbers as to how well they're doing, how much better than the public schools, when in reality, there is natural selection involved, because the students that go to the charter schools are the students that are more motivated, whose parents are more motivated. So there's already natural selection. Now, this has nothing to do with zoning, and I'm aware of that. Okay, however, what does have to do with zoning is wanting to work towards the development of our community, wanting to build up our tax base, wanting to see our community grow and expand and develop, and wanting to see the burden of the real estate taxes taken off of the homeowner. Now, here we have a business and a real estate parcel, a fairly sizable one for that matter, that are paying taxes. Not only is the charter school going to take more of the school district's money, but it's also going to take this property off the tax rolls. Now, if this were a vacant property, I might be in support of that. It's not a vacant property. It's a property that is on the tax rolls paying taxes. So this goes against everything that I've been working for. Noelle, you remember me from way back when I first joined the Renaissance Commission, way back when, and we talked about, and Teddy too, we were
I'm with you, Michael.
all the way back.
I'm with you all the way so far.
Trying to build the businesses, trying to build the tax base. And here, this to me seems counterproductive.
Yeah.
You're going to push a guy out. You're going to leave another building vacant over on Glen Floral, and you're going to leave a guy in the street. That's been a very important part of our community for 37 years. I just cannot support this. To me, this just rubs me the wrong way. It goes against my grain, and I will not support it. But at any rate, we have a motion on the floor.
Well stated, Mr. Chairman, well stated. So maybe we're better off voting, and it seems like we have 4 votes possibly against it. I'm willing to move forward on that.
Mr. Hintz, you have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to remove my motion if the rest of the commissioners would prefer to delay. I guess, in my opinion, I think we're enhancing a property that maybe is slightly blighted in my view right now. I think, some of the school discussion is outside of zoning. That's why I made the motion. But I'm willing to remove that motion by whatever process is needed if we feel like giving more time will change our decision. That's maybe not what's totally clear to me from the comments is if more time is going to change our decision, or if the decision is the same, then maybe I would recommend that we leave the motion on and vote.
Well, if there's a motion and there's no second, it's going to fail anyway.
Teddy, there was a second.
There was a second. There was a second.
There's a motion and a second.
Oh, sorry.
The second was by Commissioner Santiago.
Okay.
So
I'm
a
sorry,
roll call vote
Commissioner.
can be called. And then it would either pass or fail, and it would move forward to City Council to the Community Development Committee with either a recommendation in favor or opposed.
Okay.
So it's not necessary to withdraw the motion. You certainly can take a vote on it. I do think that Mr. Hintz, Commissioner Hintz makes a good point that if people's minds won't be changed by adding the time, then in my experience, it's just more effective to take the vote and see what the outcome is. If you think that there's information that could change your minds, then it may make sense to hold off. But otherwise, it just delays the petitioner for no reason. I had an alderman in the past that I used to beg not to hold stuff over just for the sake of holding it if he wasn't going to change his mind. So
and keep in mind that we are just a recommending body.
Yes.
Okay, what we decide may have some bearing on the alderman and the mayor at the city council, but it may not. They're going to vote the way that they see it, although our opinion will be presented to them, and it may have some impact on their on their thoughts on the matter. But it's basically up to city council. So it's ultimately their decision. So Learn people, if you are watching and listening, this is not the deciding body here. We are just a recommending body. Our purpose and our mission, our job is to hold a public hearing, which is required by law, and to make a recommendation either to approve or not to approve. So we can go ahead with the vote on the motion if all the commissioners are in agreement with that.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to recommend approval of zoning calendar number 2625, which is a request by the petitioner, Lawndale Educational and Regional Network, Learn, for a text amendment to B2 district allowing private school as a conditional use. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Anderson,
No.
Bill,
No.
Grimes,
No.
Hintz,
Yes.
Rivera,
No.
Santiago,
Unmute.
Santiago,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
No. Motion fails.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now, the next item, it was contingent upon 2625.
Mr. Chairman,
being- Yes,
I don't think you've resolved the issue because you didn't take a motion to deny or recommend denial. You just, the
yes.
motion to recommend passage failed.
Okay, so do we want to
Still
make a
on.
motion now to recommend denial?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Grimes to recommend denial of the request. Second, do we have second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Bill.
Were we supposed to put a date in it for February?
That's different.
That's
That
it.
would have been if you were tabling it.
Okay,
So this is just a motion to recommend denial.
okay.
So we have a
I
motion
second
and
that.
a second. Do we have any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Anderson,
No.
No, you're recommending denial.
I am recommending denial because I want to be able to come back, hopefully with a solution.
So an aye is to recommend denial and a nay is to not recommend denial.
Right.
So you're voting aye then if you want to recommend denial on this motion to deny.
Got it. Aye, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry to be so confused.
Double negatives get us all. Don't worry.
Whoa.
Bill,
Nay.
Grimes,
We're voting to deny, right?
A yes is a denial.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
Hintz,
No.
Rivera,
It's yes to deny, correct?
Yes is to deny.
Yes.
Santiago,
No.
Rodriguez,
Yes. How did that come out?
4-4, yes.
4-4.
4-3.
There were 4 yeses, which were to deny, and 4 noes, which
Right.
were not to deny. So
Wait,
that motion failed. Is that correct?
3 no's.
Wait a minute.
yeah, it was 4-3 by my count. There's only
Yeah.
7 commissioners voting.
I miscounted then. Okay.
Yep, you're
4
okay.
to 4-3. That's right. Commissioner Haug was not here. So it's 4 to deny, recommend denial, 3 to recommend
It was 4 ayes for denial.
for denial.
So-
Okay.
So denial is the vote that passed.
Motion carries.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, Attorney Durando. We still go ahead with the vote on the next one?
You still can proceed on the vote on the next one, although outcomes.
Okay,
Going to be the same.
next item, item 2626, which is a request by the petitioner, Lawndale Educational and Regional Network, LEARN, for a conditional use permit for a private school at 2411 West Grand Avenue. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to deny text amend, or hang on, I gotta look at my thing here. I make a motion to deny zoning calendar 2620 for Lawndale.
2620 what?
2626.
Okay, the second six didn't come through. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, sorry. Lawndale Educational and Regional Network Learn.
Okay, motion
I'll
to
second that motion.
deny. Second, this is a motion to deny the request. Do we have any further discussion on this motion? Okay, we're gonna take a roll call vote. An aye is a motion to deny. Yes, yes is to deny.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, who seconded that?
That was Commissioner Grimes.
Thank you.
Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Anderson,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Grimes,
Yes.
Hicks,
No.
Rivera,
Yes to deny.
Santiago,
No.
Rodriguez.
Yes. That's 5-2. Motion carries. Motion to deny, to recommend denial. Okay,
Can I make a comment?
yes. you may.
Sorry.
Please.
I know the meeting's getting long. Noel, isn't it possible to share with them other potential sites that are not taking something that's already used and that's on the tax paying rolls, so that we could potentially improve another site? And I mean, we've got properties all over, and we certainly have properties that size available.
We're always happy. I'm sorry.
Has that been done, or has anyone presented other options, or is?
Learn has been looking for a new location for, I'm not even sure exactly how long, at least 3 years that I'm aware of, and have had conversations with them. We have discussed a number of sites with them over the years. They have also looked at other sites that they haven't discussed with us in advance. But we're certainly willing to continue those conversations if they wish to do that. We would never force anybody to talk to us about it, but we're glad to talk to anybody about potential sites that are suitable for their use.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Next item, zoning calendar number 2627, which is a request by the petitioner Mickey Shuk for a conditional use permit for dwelling units above the ground floor for the location known as 114 South Genesee Street. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to accept zoning calendar 2027.
Motion to recommend approval by Commissioner Bill.
I second.
Who was that?
Santiago.
Oh, I didn't see your. Commissioner Santiago seconds it. Do we have any further discussion on that motion? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Anderson,
Yes.
Bill,
Mr. Bill?
His connection appears frozen to me.
Yeah. Let's come back to him.
Grimes,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Santiago,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes. Commissioner Bill, can you hear us? I think we lost him. So that is Commissioner
He's
Bill, are you there?
back.
Oh, you're
He's
back.
back.
We voted
I'm
on,
sorry, I dropped out.
you
I
dropped
vote yes.
out. You were frozen there for a minute. We voted on recommendation to recommend approval of zoning calendar 2627. That was the
Yes.
last item.
Yes.
That's a yes vote. Okay, so the ayes have it. Motion carries. Recommend approval on that item. All right. Is there anything else? That's it. That's the last one. Is there anything else that we're missing, Noel or Doug?
I would just like to thank all of the commissioners for your service to our community in 2020, especially with all of the adjustments that we've had to make and the technology we've had to learn. And we so appreciate your flexibility and being willing to work with us and struggle with our tech issues here and there and adapt alongside us. So thank you all for all of that. And I wish you all wonderful holidays. And Mr. Durando would like to make a comment as well.
Although I would like to echo Noel's points, I would also remind all of the petitioners that their items will, that any recommendations made by the body tonight are not final or binding. Your items will be on the next city council meetings. Please make sure that you coordinate with Noel to ensure that those items are properly.
Yes, thank you for that reminder. They're scheduled for the next regular community development committee meeting, which is the first Monday of January. Hard to believe, but a new year, and hopefully it's a good year for all of us. So again, thank you all, and we appreciate you very much. Happy and safe holidays to you and yours.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And I want to
Happy
thank,
holidays.
I want to thank all the commissioners also for your willing service and the serious manner in which you take your responsibility on this commission. Our attendance has just been outstanding. And I think you also be proud of the service that you're rendering. This is our last meeting till February then, is that correct?
Yes, we have
Unless-
items for a January meeting, so that's your Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, that's your little belated gift. Can I make one more comment? I
You
would
may,
also like to really thank Douglas and Steve and Russ and Kathy. My staff and our partner in Douglas are really outstanding, and they do tremendous work. They do far more hours of work than you could ever imagine, studying these things and going back and forth with petitioners and trying to get all the answers for your questions and trying to really make recommendations that follow both the letter of the law and the spirit of Waukegan. So even though sometimes our recommendations aren't the way that you ultimately vote, know that we're all on the same team and we're all looking forward for what's best for our community. We all love Waukegan very much. And I'm super blessed to have a great staff.
Well, it's very rare that we don't support the staff recommendation. It's extremely rare. Because I think we're all on the same page. And I have to echo your sentiments too. You do have a great staff. You and your staff are just very easy to work with. We enjoy working with you, and you just seem to have the interests of Waukegan at heart. And I want to make a special comment about our attorney. Doug, you don't know how glad we are to have you. You know, I've been on this commission. Yes, he deserves a round of applause. I've been on this commission since well, Mayor Sabanjan appointed me in his first month in office. I'm not talking about the first Mayor Sabanjan, I'm talking about the second one. And, you know, we've had attorneys kind of haphazardly show up and, you know, very lukewarm about their commitment. And there have been many times when I was called before the meeting by the attorney saying, well, there's nothing really that serious on the agenda or that special or that controversial. So do you mind if I don't show up? And I would say, oh, well, yeah, I guess, even though I really wanted the attorney to show up. And then we'd get hit with something. And there's something where I just don't know how to handle it, how to deal with it, or somebody has a legal question or technical question. And so, you know, we'd be stuck and we'd have to kind of wing it. But Doug, you've been there and you're there to help us. And I really appreciate your input. And for those of you that don't know, you know, during the normal meetings, Doug sits next to me, and when I screw up, he kicks me under the table. You know, so he's not here to do that. No, he doesn't really kick me, but anyway, figuratively. But Doug, I really appreciate your input, and you're really a valuable part of this whole process. So thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you all celebrate. Best of all, Happy New Year. Let's get over this COVID. Let's get through it, and wish you all the best. Need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Hintz.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Grimes, and we need a roll call vote. Every vote on remote has to be roll call.
Anderson,
Yes.
Bill,
It looks like we lost him again.
We lost him again.
Grimes,
Yes.
Hintz,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes. Thanks. Same to you.
Santiago,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 9:57 sprint time.
Be safe, everybody. God bless.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Stay healthy. Have a wonderful holiday.
You too, Teddy.